The shouting, the jerseys, the heartbreak. While millions of people are yelling at their monitors and getting their spirits crushed because a dozen strangers lost a match, there is a massive chunk of the population that feels absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. Looking at neuroscience, their minds might actually operate on a different frequency. Being a non-fan in a sports-obsessed world is like sitting in a crowded theater where everyone is weeping at a movie that, to you, is just a flickering blank screen. Stick around, because what I'm about to share will totally alter how you view the sports fanatics in your circle. Here is the secret no one mentions. Having zero interest in athletics doesn't make you dull. It doesn't mean you lack enthusiasm, and it certainly doesn't mean you're broken. But there is a captivating process occurring in your head. It is entirely distinct from the majority of the population who worship sports religiously. Let's begin with the big question. Why is everyone else so invested? People are pack animals. We always have been. For eons, belonging to a clan meant staying alive. Your pack shielded you from threats. It helped secure food. It ensured safety. And sports teams? They are essentially digital age packs with louder colors. When a fan observes their squad, their system pumps out oxytocin, the attachment chemical, the identical substance that makes you bond with your kids. Think about that for a second. Their mind actually dupes them into believing these wealthy players are their blood relatives. It's a chemical sleight of hand. It's as if the brain is projecting the faces of their own children onto giants running across a grass field. But here is where it gets engaging. Individuals who ignore sports usually possess what experts term reduced collective drives. Their sense of self isn't heavily anchored to a faction. They are autonomous. They are independent. Their identity isn't a puzzle piece waiting for a box. It's a solid, polished stone, one that doesn't need a surrounding mosaic to hold its shape. They are quicker to think, I don't require a mass movement to feel whole. And there is legitimate data backing this up. Psychological research suggests that those with zero sports engagement demonstrate significantly lower in-group bias. In other words, they don't instinctively despise a rival city just because the people there aren't wearing the same colors. Just wait, it gets stranger. What unfolds in the cranium of a die-hard supporter during a match is genuinely alarming. You know that sensation when you check your phone for a text? That suspense? That is dopamine. It's lighting up your circuits. Sports nuts receive that identical rush during games. Every pitch, every tackle. Relentless, tiny spikes of expectation and payoff. It is biologically habit-forming. It's like being plugged into a heartbeat that isn't yours, feeling every skip and surge of a pulse you cannot control. Investigations using brain imaging reveal something deep. Cheering for your club triggers the exact same pleasure pathways as betting and other intensely gripping habits. And here is the twist. The doubt is what makes it so potent. You have no clue if your side will triumph. That volatility keeps the chemicals surging. It is a variable reward schedule, the most compelling conditioning loop known to behavioral science. It's the very mechanism that makes casinos so irresistible. The process is frighteningly close to other types of compulsive habits. Your mind doesn't really differentiate between various origins of chemical reward. It simply understands that it craves more. But for individuals who ignore athletics, their reward circuits just aren't activated by second-hand rivalry. And this could be biological. Investigation from the University of Chicago indicates that mutations in dopamine receptor genes can actually forecast how deeply someone invests in spectator events. Think about that. Your total lack of concern regarding who takes the championship might literally be written in your genetic code. For you, the sports gene is a silent piano key. No matter how hard the world presses it, there is simply no sound. But there is another level to this. Enthusiasts go through a phenomenon known as burging, basking in reflected glory. If the squad triumphs, they scream, "We did it!" If the squad fails, they blew it. Observe the linguistic shift. Folks who aren't fixated on games are less prone to this mental separation. They possess a steadier sense of identity. They don't require external conquests to feel accomplished. Their self-worth is constant. It's less reliant on events that are entirely beyond their influence. Now, before the comments section goes crazy, I'm not claiming one path is superior, but I am stating there are valid mental distinctions, and comprehending them is captivating. Here is a detail that seems paradoxical. Supporters frequently rank higher on specific compassion scales. They rehearse worrying intensely about others' hardships, even if those people are strangers sporting their colors. So why don't non-watchers feel that connection? It comes down to emotional distribution. Everybody has a finite budget for caring heavily about stuff.
Sports abstainers often channel that compassion toward other zones. Social movements, intimate bonds, artistic endeavors, mental puzzles. Their empathy isn't a dry well. It's a river that has simply been diverted. It is carving deep canyons into art, science, or philosophy instead of a stadium floor. A 2021 analysis discovered that individuals with minimal athletic engagement tested much higher in openness to new experiences and the appreciation of aesthetics. They are deriving their emotional peaks from paintings, from melodies, from the outdoors. Their minds are hunting for the identical prize, significance, bonding, and awe. They are simply locating it elsewhere. And let's get real about another factor. For certain folks, ignoring the game is effectively a protective shield. Perhaps they were teased during PE lessons. Perhaps they felt alienated by the locker room vibe. Perhaps they are rejecting the hostile rivalry often linked to fan culture. Or perhaps they just never grasped why grown-ups yell at screens over a sphere. Your apathy might possess a history, or perhaps you just find it dull. Both are legitimate. Here is the segment that clarifies the massive gap between the enthusiast and the skeptic. It boils down to how you process significance. Supporters derive value from the plot, the long shot, the turnaround, the legacy, the feud. It's gripping because it's volatile. It is unscripted theater with real consequences. But folks who ignore athletics, they frequently view that instability as pointless.
They reason, why devote feelings to a result I cannot influence, executed by strangers I will never meet, in a contest that impacts nothing in my reality? They aren't mistaken, but neither are the fanatics.
It is simply distinct tactics for satisfying the human hunger for myth and purpose. One faction locates grand drama in a season finale. The other discovers it in a book, a partnership, an artistic endeavor, a lab breakthrough. This is what academics term parasocial attachment versus active involvement. Spectators forge unilateral bonds with franchises and stars, but non-sports individuals favor directing their mental resources where there is genuine give and take, where their concern alters the result, where they are players, not onlookers. Neither is better. They are merely separate mechanisms for moving through existence. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the expert on flow states, discovered that total immersion can be triggered by infinite pursuits. For some, it is viewing a match. For others, it is literally whatever else exists. And here is what is truly compelling. Individuals who don't fixate on leagues often describe feeling more grounded in their personal reality. They aren't dedicating 3 hours every weekend to absorbing another person's battle. They are immersed in their own. While others are frantically watching a fire on a distant horizon, you are busy stoking the furnace of your own life. There is something silently revolutionary about that. So, what is the takeaway? If you are indifferent to athletics, you aren't bypassing some essential human emotion. You are simply distinct. Your mind's pleasure circuits, your pack drives, your compassion distribution, they are all tuned uniquely, and that is totally fine. The next time somebody inquires, "Did you catch the final?" and you honestly could not give a damn, recall this: you aren't defective. You aren't a broken clock. You are a compass that is tuned to a different magnetic pole. You are just engaged in a separate match, one that could, just possibly, carry bigger risks. If this struck a chord, you are likely going to appreciate why introverted minds actually analyze data totally differently than the masses, and why that could be your greatest asset. Tap one of these clips to discover why you process things a bit differently than the herd. I'll see you there.